So, hello everyone, and welcome to Thriving Begins with Balance. Omega-3, is it actually the missing link? Just might be. And for any of you who don't know me, and I know quite a lot of you do, I'm Andrea Casabene, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be here tonight, because I know you're all really busy. And as we move through this session, if you've got any questions, just pop them into the Q&A, because I've got the beautiful Nicole Rowan here with me tonight, who is just going to keep an eye on the chat and the Q&A and make sure that we don't miss anything. So please, if there's anything that comes up, pop it in there and we'll make sure that we get to it. I will also have a Q&A session at the end if there's anything else that you need covered. So what are we actually covering tonight? Let me share my screen. And what is this session all about? Well, really, it's about learning what is omega-3 and omega-6 and what's the balance. What do we mean by when we talk about omega-3 and 6 balance? We're also going to learn why it actually matters that you know about this. And it doesn't just matter, it matters a lot. We're also going to have a look at how you can restore your balance in just 120 days. For most people, they can do it in 120 days. And if they don't get to balance, they can get pretty damn close. And by the end of this session, you'll understand why this might be one of the most powerful foundations for you to be able to really thrive in this life, I suppose. Now, in my experience, there's a number of different reasons why people decide that it's actually time to make a change and to come to an event like this. So for some people, they come here because they're really struggling to concentrate, they can't focus, and they're plagued with that horrid brain fog that I think so many of us are stuck with. Well, those of us who have hit perimenopause or menopause get stuck into it. But I think even with COVID, so many of us are suffering with it. Other people might be here because they're struggling with low motivation and they just can't get going. For some people, they might stand up after sitting down and all they do is feel like they're a 90-year-old, creaks and having to get the body moving again. And then for others, it might be waking up already tired. So you're exhausted, then you go to bed and then you can't sleep. And then maybe for others, you just feel like age is catching up with you and there is nothing you can do to feel vibrant again. So I'd love you to just put an M for me in the chat if any of these resonate with you. Let's just have a look. I love that. Haha, me. Me. I love that flick. Because it's like, I don't know, it just feels like everyone is suffering from something like this, because you'll understand why they probably are. Now, look, regardless of what brought you here, just for a moment, I want you to imagine maybe a different world, a world where your energy stays steady all day. You've got a clear head and a really sharp focus. Your joints move freely. Your mood is calm. And even when that craziness happens around you, you don't get pulled into the stress and you're not snapping and those sorts of things. You can find your way to calm fairly quickly. And, you know, when you go to bed, you experience that deep, relaxing sleep, because that's actually what balance can feel like. Before we get into the details, I want to introduce you to the mental wellness continuum. Now, this was introduced to me by one of my amazing mentors, who is a gut brain, heart brain axis guru. And he introduced this to me, and I just think it really is something worth reflecting on, because this spectrum really helps you to check in with where you're really at. What do I mean by that? Well, it's not about how you present to the world on the surface and, you know, what you tell people, but it's actually how you actually feel. Because on the left-hand side is the struggling zone. And this is where imbalance in your body has tipped so far that it's now showing up as significant physical and emotional challenges. Things like depression, anxiety, diabetes, obesity, heart disease, autoimmune issues, arthritis. Like it just, the list just goes on. And I don't know, some of you here might be feeling like you're in that space. Or for others, you might be in this next space, which is the typical zone. Or I like to call this the blah zone. You know, it's like, yeah, I'm fine, but you just kind of feel a bit blah. You know the one? You're kind of functioning, but there's just something off. And you're probably telling yourself, this is just how life is, or I just need to soldier on, or maybe I'm getting older. I don't know, all sorts of things we say to each other. But, you know, maybe in this space, you might be feeling fatigue, constant tension, unexplained sadness, brain fog, headaches, acne, recurring infections, joint or muscle pain, maybe bloating. And you probably feel like most of us, you just brush it off. Oh, I'm busy or I'm getting older. Because we're conditioned to believe this is just how it is now and that there's nothing you can do about it. So we just keep going. We just keep going, never really feeling 100%. I don't know, any of that sound familiar? Well, I'm here to tell you this is not normal, and it's not just how it is. Because your body has just got out of balance, but there is something you can do about it. Because what you want to do is you want to get to this space. This is the zone we really want to get to, the thriving zone. And this is actually the state you're meant to be in. So let's have a look at what's possible when you are thriving. This is actually the human natural state. This is where the body and the mind are actually working together. They're not fighting each other. You wake up with clarity, with energy, with a steady mood. Your skin glows. I don't know, Felicity was saying this as I started in, something's a bit different with my skin. Maybe you're right there. Digestion's smooth and you sleep really well. And what that all means is that you can be really creative and hopeful, and you'll laugh more and handle those challenges with ease. And you feel more like yourself. Or maybe you feel better than you've ever felt. And it's in this space that you can really open up to creating amazing things for yourself, with everything starting to flow. So let me ask you this. Where do you honestly see yourself right now? So if 1 is struggling and 10 is thriving, just pop a number in the chat. Let me know, where do you think you are right now? And by the way, welcome, Nella. You haven't missed much. So we've got a 3, a 6, a 5. So as we look at that, what that's telling me is that we all have an ability to continue to move up this continuum. And that's really where our aim should be, is to continually move towards that thriving. Now, you don't jump from 1 or 2 to 10 overnight. It's actually a journey towards it, but you've got to start somewhere. And so my hope for you tonight is you can see that what you learned today might just be something that gives you that kickstart towards taking your next step to whatever the next rung on the ladder, so to speak, of the mental continuum is right for you. So that's where we're going. But before we jump right in, some of you might be thinking, why am I here talking about this tonight? What's led me to being the person that's sitting here talking about omega-3? Well, for over 20 years, I've been a mindset and facilitator coach, and I've been working with some of Australia's largest organisations. And you can see some of them here. And I've helped leaders and teams shift how they think, communicate, and perform. And, you know, we've got some great results over the years. But here's what I've discovered that really has come about because of recent advances in science. And what I've discovered is mindset alone, it's not enough for most of us. So you can change your thinking, but if your body's depleted, if your energy and mood are unstable, when things get tough, there's a really good chance you're going to snap back into old patterns. That's why I started delving into the science of mental wellness. And I guess that really started with Dr. Sean Talbot, one of my mentors. And what I found really blew me away, because it's not just about mindset. It's also about whether your body's in balance. And so that's what led me to create my Wiser Transformations framework, where I combined both mind and body and really work out how, as a whole human being, do we really strive towards what we're really meant to be in this world. But that's not for tonight. Tonight, we're going to focus on a really powerful starting point, and that's omega-3 balance. So why are we talking about omega-3? Well, simply because, it's actually involved in dozens of processes across the whole body, your brain, your mood, heart and circulation, joints, skin, even the way your immune system responds. It's kind of like omega-3 balance is the first domino. When you're out of balance, it'll set off a chain reaction everywhere else in the body. But the good news is it works the other way too. So when you restore your omega-3 balance, you actually set up, it's like it can then put those dominoes back up. And it then has an effect across the whole body as well. So given that that's so important, let's take a moment now and explore exactly what omega-3 does by looking at two key processes it plays a huge part in: inflammation and cellular health. So first, let's talk about this idea of inflammation. And, inflammation has kind of got a bad rap lately because we all know that we're overinflamed. But inflammation is actually your body's alarm system. And if you didn't have any inflammation, you probably wouldn't still be alive. Because you see, if you cut yourself, you want swelling, redness, and heat to heal it. If you have an infection, you need the inflammation and your immune system to kick in to get rid of it. That's your immune system doing its job. But here's the problem. That alarm system isn't meant to stay on. Your body makes inflammation from the fatty acids in your cell membranes. And your omega-6 fatty acids are the ones that produce your pro-inflammatory, I struggle to get that one out, your pro-inflammatory molecules and cytokines. Think of them as the fire starters, right? And then your omega-3 fatty acids produce the anti-inflammatory molecules, the fire calmer downers. I don't know. They're kind of like your firefighters. They come in, they clean up and allow everything to settle down. Now, for most of human history, omega-6 and omega-3 were in balance, 1-to-1. You had one of each sort of thing. But today things have changed. And thanks to the current farming practices, changes in what we eat, and, all of that processed food that we eat, and also probably a decrease in the amount of oily fish and pastured animal products that we currently eat, most people now sit, instead of a 1-to-1 balance, somewhere between a 12 to a 25-to-1 balance. So that's like having, 25 fire starters and only one firefighter. What hope have they got? So what's the result in that? Chronic low-grade inflammation. It's a silent driver of fatigue, stiffness, brain fog, and accelerated aging. So when we think about inflammation, scientists actually will often describe inflammation as the root of all illness. And we'll explore a little bit why it's got such an impact on so many different things. But here's the thing, when you can restore balance, you're not stopping inflammation, but what you're doing is giving your body the tools to turn it on and off as it needs to, the way it was supposed to work, the way it used to work. So what you end up with is as many firefighters as you have fire starters. But most of us don't live that way at the moment. We've got heaps of fire starters, but hardly any to put them out. Because we were never meant to be in this state of inflammation. But right now, for just about all of us, it's just the normal state. And because everyone's feeling it, it kind of normalizes it. But that's not what's supposed to happen. So that's the first thing. Omega-3 has a massive impact on your ability to calm the inflammation the way it's supposed to. Now, that's inflammation. Let's now talk about cellular health. Every one of your 30 trillion cells has a fatty outer layer. And this isn't just a wrapper, it's actually the control desk of your cell. Why? Because it decides what comes in and what goes out. So when you've got enough omega-3, like this cell that's on your screen now, the membrane around is fluid and flexible. It's kind of like a well-oiled farm gate. So what happens is the right nutrients can come in, and the other thing is not only can the right nutrients come in, but the byproducts or the waste products, they can leave the cell. And that's the way it's supposed to be. So you don't get waste buildup. But when you've got too much, when you don't have enough omega-3 and you've got too much omega-6, what happens is these cells get stiffer. And it's like the gate's rusty. And so it can't really open up properly or close properly. And so the right nutrients can't get in and out the way they're meant to. And because every system in your body depends on healthy cells, the omega-3/6 balance touches everything: brain, motivation, circulation, gut, skin, like you name it. It's impacted by this. So to see just how much is impacted, let's have a look at this. This is the 18 health claims about omega-3 balance that are approved by the European Food Safety Authority. Just have a look. Brain function, heart, immune, vision, teeth, normal brain development, bone structure, like it just goes on. You name it, it's probably on there. This is why the omega-6, omega-3 balance is such an important marker for us. So that's the science, right? That's what omega-3, omega-6 is and why we need them and why this balance is so important. But what does it actually mean for you on a day-to-day basis about how you feel? What does that look like, feel like for you? Let's have a look at this table. So let's just take a look here. Now, before we do though, there's just something I want to mention. Just let's be clear here. We're not diagnosing anything. We're not curing anything. What we're doing is getting the body back to its balance so that it can operate the way it's intended. That's what we're talking about here. So let's have a look at all of the different areas and the implications. How do you feel when these are out of balance and then when they're back in balance? So let's have a look at brain and mood. Brain fog, low motivation, mood swings, feeling tired all the time. Get into balance, what might that feel like? Clearer thinking, sharper focus, more motivation, calmer, better resilience. Like, honestly, which side do you want to be on? Which side are you on? Let's quickly go through some of the rest. We've got heart and circulation, afternoon slumps, higher resting heart rate, cold hands, higher long-term cardiovascular risk. There is a really strong connection between omega-3 and heart health. But if you get it into balance, more even sustained energy, warmer extremities, better exercise stamina, and lower cardiovascular risk. It's so, so important. Next one, joints and muscle recovery. Morning stiffness, slower recovery, frequent aches, inflammation flare-ups. Get it under control. You just move easier. You can, you can move through life. You can sit down for a while and get up and not be creaky. Greater flexibility. Then there's the immune system. It's out of balance. You're probably going to have lingering colds, slower recovery, puffier, puffiness, swelling, allergies, all linked to omega-3, 6 balance. Get that under control. Stronger, quicker immune system. How many, let's face it, how many people this season have got sick, got better, and then got sick again, got better, then got sick again? It's like the immune system isn't properly functioning. I wonder how much of that, there's lots of elements to it. It's not just a one thing, but how much is impacted by your omega-3 balance? Interesting to see. Skin and hair. Dull skin, dry skin, brittle nails, all related. Get that right. You're then hydrated, radiant skin, smooth texture. Your nails are stronger, all of that. Gut and digestion. And so for those of you who've been on the 14-day gut reset that I ran, you know how important the integrity to get your gut lining is, etc. And omega-3 plays a massive role in that. If your gut's not healthy, you're not healthy. And that's another key factor to moving to thriving. But for now, let's just look at omega-3. And then finally, the general energy and aging, fatigue, afternoon crashes, slow recovery versus steady, reliable energy, faster bounce back, just feeling younger, more confidence. Now, I don't know about you, but I know I want to be on the right-hand side of all of that. So what's this all saying to us? When omega-3 is low and omega-6 dominates, your body gets stuck in chronic low-grade inflammation. The cells are struggling to effectively perform all the processes that they need to. So is it any wonder we don't feel like we're thriving? But when balance is restored, your cells get flexible and responsible, and you feel calmer, you feel more energetic, you get more resilience. Basically, everything works better. That's why I call it a foundation. If this isn't right, everything else struggles. It's like no matter how well you build a house, if it's on shaky foundations, it's going to collapse. And we're the same. So I just want you to take a moment, have a look at all of these. Which ones would you love to get under control? Which ones that if you could make a shift, that would make a huge difference for you personally? And just put some stuff in the chat box. I can see there, Leonie, you've got all of the above. Yeah. What would make a difference for you? I think most of us just want to saying all of it, right? Brain and mood, beautiful. And we've all got what it is that it means for us. But I think what this shows is that all of us have an opportunity to get this back into balance, because let's face it, we all want to be thriving. So that's why we're talking about this. So I've kind of alluded to the fact that there are a number of different things that you can do to move towards thriving. So why did I choose this as the first step? Well, for one reason, it's one of the easiest steps you can take at all. Like, it's really simple to get back into balance. And everything that I'm talking to you about tonight is backed by science. Because thanks to Zinzino, so they're a science-driven preventative health company out of Norway. And what they do is they combine home testing with precision nutrition. What that does, it helps you measure, track, and restore your body's balance. Because one of the things that the supplement industry is not good at doing is proving that the money you're spending on their supplements is actually working. We take them, but we don't know if they work or not. We've just got to hope that they do. And Zinzino absolutely want to turn that around because they put testing in to prove if their supplements work. So I know for me and Nicole's on the call, that's why we have partnered with Zinzino, because there's proof in the pudding. Because have a look at this. Zinzino have now done over 1.5 million tests worldwide, measuring omega-3, omega-6 balance. This is actually one of the largest, if not the largest, health data sets of its kind ever. And what does it show? It shows that 97% of the world's population is out of balance. Like, that's insane, 97%. So in the pre-industrial era, the balance was 1-to-1. And over the past 60 years, it's been steadily moving out of balance. And the World Health Organization will tell you a healthy balance is 3-to-1. So that's that's more than the 1-to-1. But they say 3-to-1 is a good thing to go for. That says you're in balance. But the average of when someone first tests is somewhere between 10 and 35-to-1. I mean, that's crazy. It's supposed to be 1-to-1, 3-to-1's healthy, 10-to-1, up 35, 40-to-1 in some people. And in Australia, the average is 12.3-to-1. So it's 12.3-to-1. That's significantly out of balance. So why is it so dramatic, this shift? What's happened that's caused this? Well, there's a couple of things that have been going on since, I guess, probably the 1950s, 60s. The first one is our food supply flipped. We're eating less oily fish and pasture-raised animal products. And so we're getting less omega-3s. There's also been a massive rise in seed oils, processed foods, restaurants that are frying their foods in processed foods, in packaged snacks that are filled with the omega-6 seed oils that just blow our omega-6 out of the water. And so what's happening? We're getting less of those foods, or we're eating less of those foods that had the omega-3, and we're eating heaps and heaps of the omega-6 rich. Really, they're adulterated foods. They're not natural, right? And that's the problem. So what else has happened? Our farming and feed changed. The fat profile of the animals that we eat has changed. In the past, we ate animals that were pasture-raised and grass-fed. Now, they were animals that were high in omega-3. So when we ate them, we got the omega-3. Now, our animals are mainly grain-fed and soy-fed, meaning that their fat profile now is really high in omega-6. So you eat those foods now, and you're getting way too much omega-6. So basically, the food we eat today is not the same as the food our grandmothers ate. And finally, and this is another big one, and I'm sure you'll all understand this one, our lifestyle means we're constantly stressed. And stress creates inflammation, which increases the demand for omega-3. If we've got more inflammation, we need those firefighters, so we need more of them. But as we've just seen, we're getting less of them. So with chronic psychological stress, poor sleep, high refined carbs, etc., we need so much more omega-3. We're using it so much quicker and we're not replacing it. We really are living in a perfect storm when it comes to this. So if you're sitting here thinking, this probably applies to me, chances are you're right, because you're probably more likely a part of the 97% rather than the 3%. And here's the key. If imbalance is left unchecked, it doesn't just sit quietly in the background. It actually compounds. Fatigue builds on fatigue. Inflammation accelerates the aging process. Resilience erodes mentally and physically. This isn't about scaring you, but it is about understanding what's really happening underneath the, I just feel blah, that we're coming to accept as normal. But of course, there's a silver lining, isn't there? The good news, once you start to restore balance, the same compounding effects work in your favor. Energy stacks on energy, clarity builds on clarity, resilience strengthens. And that's why this is such a powerful first step. I cannot underestimate just how powerful this can be. So what's the solution then? If that's the problem, what's the solution? How do we get back into balance? Well, the first thing is we need to test. Don't guess. None of us actually know what our omega-3, omega-6 ratio is. And you can't go to the doctor and get it. But you can get the Zinzino test. And it will tell you those specifics. Now, that test you're looking up there, that's mine. 15-1. I'm definitely in the red zone. Although I've got a new test coming in the next month that I know will be so much better. But you get this really amazing report about just what's happening with all of your fatty acids in your body. It's amazing. So get tested. And as I mentioned, that's why Nicole and I have partnered with Zinzino, because they partner with Vitas. They're an independent lab in Norway, and this guarantees credibility of their tests. So as you can see, Vitas partners with some of the biggest, most prestigious universities and organisations in the world: Harvard, Cambridge, Massachusetts Hospital, just to name a few. But what does this really mean for us? What it means is these tests are credible. So that's the first step. Take the test. Second step, start taking a supplement that works. Now, this really blew my mind when I discovered what I'm about to share with you. Most omega-3 oils are stripped of their polyphenols. What does that basically do? Because they've got to be purified, and the polyphenols are stripped out. What that means is it's leaving them unstable. But Zinzino's balance oil is different. It's blended with polyphenol-rich olive oil, and it keeps the omega-3 fresh and protected in the body, just like it's protected inside the cells of oily fish. So the omega-3 can then actually be delivered into the cells. So I just want you to watch this video that explains what I'm talking about here, because it is an absolute game changer.
6.3 billion people are not getting enough omega-3s. Omega-3 is an essential fatty acid. We need to get our omega-3s from the food we eat, or by taking supplements with fish oil. Antioxidants ensure the omega-3s stay fresh and potent, so our body can absorb the nutrients. But not just any antioxidants will get the job done. Polyphenols are the game changer. Powerful micronutrients working in synergy with the omega-3s to slow down oxidation and optimize absorption in order to offer long-term health benefits to your body. The refining process will rid the fish oil of virtually all mercury and PCBs. Unfortunately, this process also washes out the natural polyphenols in the oil. This is why most modern omega-3 supplements have little effect in the body. Polyphenols from pre-harvest olives are the plant-based equivalent to the antioxidants naturally found in seafood. This is a fact often overlooked by the fish oil industry. It puts our Balance Oil Plus in a league of its own. Our synergistic formula brings the magic of polyphenols and omega-3s back together. This is a revolution in omega-3 supplements. Our supplement is actually closer to oily fish than fish oil. We've captured a true force of nature. All you have to do is put our product to the test, literally. The Zinzino Balance Test is at the heart of our balance concept. You take the test before you start using our Balance Oil Plus, and then again after 120 days. This way, you get to see for yourself if your essential fatty acid levels have been restored. And we get to prove that our supplements really work. Let's take the guesswork out of a healthier way of living. Find out if you're in the clear, or if it's time to act now to maintain normal physical and mental functions in your body. From the pioneers of test-based, personalized nutrition. Zinzino. Inspire change in life.
So when I learned about that, it really was, I guess, mind-blowing for me. So just to reinforce what they're saying, let me show you this oil stability index, because this is why potentially if you're taking another omega-3 supplement, it may not be doing enough of what you need it to do. So what this here is talking about the stability of the omega-3. And you can see the balance oil has a 35-hour stability in the body. Cod liver oil 15, concentrated omega-3, about 9 hours. And this was the one for me, krill oil, is only 5 hours stable. So I was taking a krill oil because it was the only oil that didn't taste like I didn't get those fishy burps from. But it was a waste of my money because it wasn't working. It really is. It's the difference that will make a difference. And the thing that I love, we get to prove if it is right or not. Because the VITAS independent lab testing is showing that 95% of people actually reach balance after 120 days. Why 120 days? Because that's how long it takes for all of the red blood cells to regenerate. So what does that mean? It means balance oil isn't just 10% better, it's 10 times better at bringing the body back into balance. And you can prove it because we've got the test. So I know I can talk for Nicole here too. That's why we take the balance oil, and that's why we share the balance oil, because it's a game changer. Because integrity matters to me, and I want more than a label, I want evidence. So you've heard from me, but I think it would be really useful for us to hear from some people who've been taking the oil. So let's have a look at a couple of testimonials about people who've actually taken the oil.
First, my personal testimonial. So it was 6 years ago when I got introduced to Zinzino, and at the time I'd been taking omega supplements. In fact, I'd taken omega supplements for 20 years, and a very good friend of mine said to me, Margie, I think you need to take the balance test. I want you to have a look at this. It was just coming into Australia. So of course I thought, well, yeah, why not? I'm taking a supplement. I got tested only to discover that my omega-6/3 ratio was high. So that meant that I had an omega deficiency. I was pretty shocked at the time because I thought the product I was taking was doing its job, but we were guessing. I had no understanding of whether that formula and that product that I was taking was working. So a ratio of omega-6 to 3 should not be greater than 3 to 1, and mine was 8.5. So just so you know, at the time, this was in my early 50s, I had all the perimenopausal symptoms. I had joint pain, I had brain fog, I had low energy, my vision was deteriorating, I was forgetting things in the workplace, and so I immediately changed over to the balance oil. For me, that was an easy transition, because I thought, well, clearly I'm out of balance, and the balance oil has got data to show that it works. So I started taking my personalized dose, which was 10 mils a day. And within 120 days, my ratio came down to the safe zone, which is below 3 to 1. But the most important thing for me was that my joint pain actually disappeared within 3 weeks, and my brain fog left. My energy went up, and what I wasn't expecting was that my vision started to improve. That was an added bonus. Now, I've been taking 10 mils every single day now for 6 years, and I do test periodically. As you can see, I'm completely in balance, which is a preventative health space, so we can reduce the risk of chronic degenerative diseases.
So that was Maggie. Now let's have a listen to Beck.
First, my personal testimonial.
I got introduced to Zinzino in 2022. At the time, I was 44 years old. I had two young teenage children, and I had severe depression. I had adrenal fatigue. Like some people would say, maybe functioning, or in hindsight now, I say I wasn't functioning. And now, also looking back, I can start from my memories when I was 12 years old, going on bike rides. I would have heat exhaustion, migraines, allergies, but all things that people go, oh, that's just normal. In my teenage years, I had very irregular cycles, and then when I had my children, had severe depression and brain fog. What again I was told that was just postnatal depression, but it just never stopped, and I was suicidal. I think I'm only alive. Yeah, my children kept me alive. Otherwise, I would. It was so bad. So, but again, I went to doctors, I went to naturopaths, and they said, "Well, your levels are fine. You're a healthy person. You looked healthy." I think I was high functioning on the outside. I'd give all my energy to just be there, and then I'd go home and collapse. If I'd do a run or anything, it would take me days, if not weeks, to recover. Even emotionally, things would take a long time to recover. So then when I started taking this, the balance oil, I just noticed that my energy got much better very soon. So my first test I did was 13:1, and it showed that's not a good ratio. And in a way, I was really glad, because I thought there is actually something not quite right, and I have room for improvement. And for me, that was hope. I trusted the person who introduced it to me, and I started taking it. And so over summer, I noticed already an increase in energy and focus. I had to take my children to surf life-saving carnivals, and I used to just get exhausted packing the car. And so I've just noticed it's been nearly 2.5, 3 years. For me, especially the depression, I don't go into deep, dark holes anymore. I just have normal little ups and downs like everyone. But I think also what's important, I'm still noticing after 2.5 years, I'm noticing improvement. Like last summer, I noticed that I didn't have the heat exhaustion. Again, something that I thought after 40 years of living on this earth, I thought that was just normal, and that's how you felt in summer. And so I was not well for so long. And now bit by bit, it's coming back through the layers, and I'm still excited to improve, be better and healthier in my 50s than I was maybe my whole life. So I'm very grateful for this.
So I guess what that shows is it impacts so many different things. So both Beck and Maggie have been on the balance oil for quite some time now. But I just wanted to invite Liz, who's with us today. She's been on it, we worked it out, probably about 3 weeks. So it's nice to hear, let me just add a spotlight here. It's nice to hear from someone who's just started. So what's been your experience, Liz?
Right. So prior, I did the 14-day gut reset, which set me off on a really good path. And then Ange suggested that I try the omega-3 oil. And well, within 2 days, I noticed marked improvement. The brain fog was huge. I couldn't believe all of a sudden I sort of just felt more energetic, more alive. It was, and it was great because I was motivated after doing the gut reset. So that sort of, kept me very motivated. The biggest thing for me, which has been just, I can't even express how fantastic it's been. I've suffered with bone issues, back and pelvic issues since basically I gave birth to my first daughter, and I've had constant pain, tried numerous therapies, different supplements over the years, and had sort of, little success. This within, I was only actually speaking to Ange this morning, and I am now, I would say, probably 80 to 90% pain-free, which has just been an absolute miracle. I can't quite believe it. I keep thinking every day, oh, is it going to come back? But with that, obviously, my energy level has gone through the roof. I just feel so much better, and everyone's saying to me, gee, what are you doing? You look really well. So I can't wait to see my results. And then obviously, each day I don't even have to think about it. I'm sort of almost excited to take it because I can see each day there's a different, I'm just feeling better and better as I go along. never, you know, as I said, taken a lot of different supplements. Nothing has come close to this. Yeah, it's been really, really, I think one of the other things for me has been the recovery. Even if I do get, prior to having the oil, I would get incredibly fatigued because of obviously the pain as well. And now, I haven't got the pain, but I recover very quickly. So each day, yeah, it's just getting better and better. So I'm
Well,
very, very happy.
thank you so much for
No
sharing
worries.
this, because I think I'll just remove your spotlight. I think the key here is it compounds and gets more and more, because your body is going to use it where it needs it most, but then you get more and more benefits, because as we've seen today, it's so important for so many things. And if you can get an oil that you can prove actually does what it says it's going to do, well, why wouldn't you take it, right? And it's just so simple. Every morning I get a little shot glass and I have a little shot of my oil, or sometimes I put it into my smoothie. It's just so easy to start this process towards thriving. So my question is, what might be possible for you? Just imagine this for a moment. You wake up refreshed. Your mind is clear. Your joints move easily. Your mood is steady. Your skin has that healthy glow, because that's what balance feels like. Now, just to be clear though, omega-3 balance is not the whole story to thriving. There's not one magic pill that fixes everything. But it's one of the most powerful first steps. And to be honest, it's actually, I think, the easiest. And that's why we start here. One shot of oil once a day, and you'll start to notice the difference. So what do you do to get back into balance? It's simple. Take the test, take the oil, let your body get back into balance. Take a test again in 120 days, and then you'll know it's actually working. Now, as I share these steps with you, you might be thinking, oh, but I already take a fish oil. Well, as you've seen, taking a traditional fish oil, it will help. There's no doubt about it. So Maggie had 8.8 to 1. Now, unfortunately, that's actually a pretty reasonable result. It's not a great result to have, but it's a reasonable result considering what a lot of people have. So all of those years of taking an oil supplement has helped. But notice, I don't know if you remember when you were looking at her results, after her 120 days, she absolutely got back into balance. And now she's getting even closer to the 1-to-1. So you don't want to be wasting your money. So if nothing else, do the test, because if your test comes back that you're in balance, you'll get your money back. But if it's not, why are you wasting your money on an oil that doesn't give you the outcome when you can have an oil that you can prove does? So if you're taking an oil, think about having a test and seeing what happens. Now, some of you also might be saying, oh, but it's an oil and isn't it really fishy? And I've got to say, that was my biggest concern, right? Because I don't do seafood, and any previous fish oil I'd take them and then you'd have that horrible fishy burp. And I said, well, if I'm taking an oil, oh, it's going to be horrible. I've got to tell you, there is no fishy taste at all. There is no fishy aftertaste. And it's actually, I really like the flavors. And there's a water-soluble one if you need it. So for people who have had their gallbladder removed, the water-soluble one is a game changer. There's a vegan version. There's also a version for kids. Now, we could have a whole session on the importance of omega-3 and kids and how it's so, so important for our kids growing up today. But that's for another discussion. Just think about it. If you've got kids, you might want to think about getting them onto the balance oil as well. You might be wondering, how soon am I going to feel better? Well, everyone's different. You've heard that people are starting to notice things within 2 or 3 weeks. But, everyone's different, and you might be expecting it in one way and it might come in another. So, it's there. It does make a difference. And the great thing is you'll be able to prove it at the end. Do you need to change your diet? Well, if you take the balance oil and don't change anything, you're still going to move the dial. But let's be honest here. Just taking a balance oil is not a free pass to eating foods that deplete you. It's a foundation that helps you feel better so that you can then have the energy and the headspace to take the next steps. You really want to look at your diet. You want to look at your sleep, about exercising. But you know what? If you're feeling like crap, you're not going to do any of it, are you? So this is a fantastic starting place. Because remember, transformation is a journey, and you've got to start with one step. And this is one of the best steps to go. Now, the other thing that you might be asking is, what's the cost? Well, it does depend on how much oil you need, because it's dependent on your size. There's also, as I mentioned, some different formulas, so they have varying costs. So you really need to think about this as a part of your food budget, because that's really what it is. And here's the other thing though, if you love the results and you go, oh my God, this is life-changing, and you then want to share it with those nearest and dearest to you, there is a way to cover the cost of your oil by simply sharing your success with others. But I can explain that one-on-one if you're interested. But for now, let's just focus on getting you started on your journey to thriving. But just before I do, Liz, can I just ask you a question?
Yes.
In terms of the cost, would you say the cost is worth it?
Oh, definitely. I was only checking because I was at the reorder just went through, and in comparison to all the other things that I was buying, plus also using anti-inflammatories and Panadol when things were severe, it's very reasonable, I think, considering like I've been buying different sorts of products over the years, and I mean some of them are quite expensive, and they don't have anywhere near the same effects. So yeah, I was very conscious of that myself, because I sort of thought, sometimes things can be, super expensive, and you don't end up continuing, where this is, very reasonable, I think, and especially for what it's done. It's amazing.
Yeah, and if you can get off the anti-inflammatories and the Panadols, if you need them, you need them. But if you can get off them,
100%.
body's going to thank you, right?
Oh, for sure.
And given everything that's in the news at the moment,
Oh yes.
If we can go the natural way, why wouldn't we? Thanks for sharing that, Liz. I think it's useful for everyone. So the question is, where to from here? So at the very least, I trust that you now have a much greater understanding of the vital role of omega-3, and how if it's out, you're never going to get to thriving. And you also know how to shift that dial easily. A little shot in the morning. I've got to say, actually, of anything I've ever taken, I really enjoy taking my little shot of oil. It's just bizarre, but it's the one that I never forget to take. It's really interesting. So it's easy, and we've all got to love that, right? But here's the question. Are you ready to shift the dial? Because nothing changes until something changes. So what you do from here, it's really simple. Get a test. Take the oil, because when your test comes back, your results were in balance, you'll get your money back. If they're not, you'll actually start getting the results that you were expecting from another oil if you've been taking another oil. So following this session, I or the person who invited you to this session, I'm going to reach out and just see if you've got any questions. No pressure, just questions, just support in case there's other questions you've got, or in fact, if you go, what have I got to lose? So I'll reach out and have a chat to you. But here's what I really want you to take away from tonight. Your body's been whispering to you through the fatigue, through the fog, through the stiffness or the dull skin, whatever it is for you. If you ignore it, those whispers don't go away. They just get louder and they compound. But if you act now and give your body the foundation it's been asking for, then that changes everything. Your energy builds, your clarity builds, your confidence builds. So when you start this journey with us, either myself or Nicole, you're not just buying the oil, you're joining a community of people who've chosen thriving. People who are going to support each other with strategies that go way beyond omega-3. So don't wait for your body to scream. Tonight's actually your chance to listen, to start and to create a foundation that starts your journey of thriving. So I just wanted to really thank you so much for your time. And are there any questions before we sign off for the night?
Yeah, Ange, one question was, are there any side effects?
Great question, yes.
Yeah, awesome question.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And it's a reason why Nicole and I have both said we will have a chat to you. If you are on blood thinning medication, then you need to do this in consultation with your doctor. Why? Because when you take omega-3s, your blood naturally starts to thin to the way it's supposed to be. But the problem is, if you're on blood thinning medication, you might end up having a thinner blood because you no longer need the medication at that level. So it's really important that if you do that alongside your doctor, and you just take it nice and slow. But here's the other thing. Most people who are on blood thinning medications are on it because they've got heart issues. And they've probably got heart issues in a big part because their omega-3 is so far out. So it's not to say, oh, if you're on blood thinning medication, don't take it. It says if you are, do it safely with your doctor. And you can get to the point potentially where you can reduce some of that medication. But you'd always do that with a doctor. That's you don't play around with those things. So that's a really great question. And the other thing, of course, is like anything, if you're pregnant, you always discuss anything you're taking with your doctor. So again, that's really important. But again, your omega-3 levels are so important to be right if you're pregnant because it impacts the baby. So again, feel free to have a chat with us about anything of those. But yeah, there are a couple of things you want to be watching out for. Great question. Any other questions? Well, if that's it, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to explore how you can move to thriving. And you all know how to connect with us. So as I said, we will be in touch anyway, but always at any time, reach out to your thriving.